What's the date today?
16th.
How do you always know that? Hi, welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Josh.
And I'm Drew.
And this is our pull list episode for September 16th?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, cool. Prez, number 4. This is Russell, Caldwell, Morales, and Lawson.
This issue's interesting. I didn't necessarily see it coming because the main premise of this one is her just dealing with the fact that all of this national tragedy and stuff is now not directly her fault, but definitely way more her fault than it's ever been.
Right, yeah, this was kind of a weighty issue.
It's pretty depressing, actually. I mean, it was funny, but it was sad.
Yeah, it was dark humor, a lot more than the previous stuff was. I think it was my favorite issue so far. You've been a bigger fan of this than I have, not by a huge margin, but...
yeah, I always got it in my top 3 or whatever.
Right, but I can see with this one, it may be making a run for my top 3 this time. This was funny and dark and some interesting commentary, I think.
Yeah, very poignant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is my absolute favorite one that's come out this far. It's definitely pretty high up there. I'm kind of sad that apparently this title is going to have 2 more after this one, and they're going to take a break for a little bit, and then there'll be 6 more. So with 4 being this good, like I absolutely can't wait for 5, and then I absolutely can't wait for 6 after that, and then I'm going to have to take a break, and I'm sad about that.
Yeah, and who knows if we'll ever get those last 6.
Don't say that, man.
I know. But yeah, this was pretty good. What do you think of the art with it?
I wrote down that the art is the only thing keeping it light. Because again, this one gets pretty depressing at points. And yeah, it's funny and stuff like that, but it really does a lot for the tone of the book. And I think they're really playing with that idea. You know, this lighter portrayal of everything that's serious. And that's always been kind of a theme in there. But I feel like it's really played up in this issue.
Mm-hmm. One other thing about this issue before we move on here. There was kind of this side story happening with Wayne and this commentary on media and how it's more and more manufactured. And as we extrapolate into the future with this, it's literally there's an algorithm that writes all of the books and movies at this point, or 9 out of 10
Right.
are written by this computer system and then put in the name of the guy who created the algorithm. I liked that maybe more even than the actual main story with the mowing down of children by dudes in beanbag chairs.
It was very clever.
But I wonder, with the whole thing with manufactured content and such, I wonder if that is a reflection at all. How much of that goes into this situation with DC and wanting to get back to the basics and doing things by the numbers.
I didn't even think about that.
Right? So he's one of the guys, this writer is probably going to be one of the people affected by this whole DC thing and getting back to the capes and the tropes that has made DC famous.
Continuity.
Right. So I wonder if maybe not specifically about that, how much that was weighing on Russell's mind when he wrote this, because there was an immediate parallel there to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess reading it, my reaction to it was more like, where are they going to go with this? Because I didn't feel like it was sort of a one-and-done kind of thing. I mean, they played it up quite a bit and went, pretty far in depth to it. So I think maybe we'll have even more content next time that we can kind of compare to the DC thing and see that's really where he was going with it. It's genius if he did. Yeah,
I think so. It's definitely given him a chance to strike back if they can it, Well, let's switch gears here. Let's move to a new title that we're just beginning to read.
You are.
Well, for the show.
Yeah, sure.
So this is The Fade Out. This is by Brubaker and
Sensei
Phillips.
Call him Sensei.
Okay, you do that. This is an Image title. This also has coloring by Breitweiser. I just thought I'd throw that in there because I like the coloring.
Yeah, it's great color.
So run us through this just a little.
It's pretty much just an exposition issue for Gil and Charlie, which, this isn't a fast-moving title by any means. Not even as much as he has another title on Image called Velvet that's really into espionage and things moving very fast, and he still does a good job of, keeping some artistic merit and stuff in there. But this is very slow moving, but this is probably the slowest moving issue of the series so far, and just really goes into these characters and their relationship. The big focal point, I think, is their relationship in this book.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is my first issue.
Mm-hmm.
We will be actually reviewing the trade of the first 8 coming up on Monday.
Yeah, on Monday.
Right? So I will be going back and reading 1 through 8. But you, this is not fresh for you. You're caught up. Mm. So in this instance, I'm the new guy jumping in, and you're the experienced reader.
Yes.
And from what I understand from the back, when I look at the editor's notes or the writer's notes here at the back, this is kind of the beginning of the 3rd act. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, this is a pretty good place to jump in. I felt pretty comfortable with it. Obviously, there's some stuff that I don't know or wasn't immediately clear, but it was presented in a way that this could be the beginning of the story, and it would be fine.
Yeah, he does an excellent job of mentioning things that are crucial to other things that have happened, but only going as far into them as absolutely necessary to serve the story and to make people not feel lost.
Right, and interestingly, from my perspective, this felt almost like a mystery title.
It is.
But I'm assuming some of the things that I don't know, you probably do know. But not knowing some of the things that are going on that they're talking about, that they're alluding to, it just made me feel like I wanted to discover the mystery. I didn't feel like, oh fuck, I don't know what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. I felt like I would love to pull this apart and figure it out.
Yeah, and the great thing about the slow pace thus far is there hasn't really been as many breakthroughs to the bigger mystery, I guess, as there would be in any other book by issue 9. So I think you'll find on Monday that that you're kind of caught up on a lot of the details, and it's just the specifics of those details that you don't quite have yet.
Right. And like you said, this whole thing plays out in narrative exposition. It's first
Square
person.
box.
Yeah, it's a first person narrative with him just telling the story of up to this point. Mm-hmm. And it's presented in a very noir.
Super noir.
It feels like this could be like a Humphrey Bogart movie from the late 40s.
Which is completely appropriate because these are writers for a company that makes movies and stuff back in the 50s.
Right, which I thought was really interestingly circular too. And also, it helps make the tone feel appropriate. Him speaking in these terms when you know that he's a writer who writes these kind of movies, mm-hmm. It all ties it up in a nice little bow and makes it comfortable. It doesn't feel awkward.
Right.
And it makes it not... old noir is awesome. I love old noir, but part of the charm is that it doesn't feel natural. Mm-hmm. It's like this odd separation from reality. Where everybody's just, 3 steps cooler than in reality.
Yeah.
But because these guys are writers, they would aspire to be that in a way. And also when they're writing their thoughts or telling their thoughts to someone else, they would probably approach it in the same way, which
and even,
makes it feel really natural, which is weird, like a natural feeling noir story.
And it also is perfect for, I don't know, I assume this is a lot of Brubaker's direction, but the artist is partially to credit, of course. But the interjection of movie scenes, like noir movie scenes mm-hmm. and stuff like that fit the story and serve the story in some way in that instance, it all comes together just beautifully. Yeah,
it's really cool work. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited now to go back and read the trade to get caught up to this.
Right.
But I can completely see, like I said, where somebody could just jump in right here and be into it and not need those back issues. this is a good jumping on spot, I think.
For sure. They might be expensive by now, too. I'm not sure.
Right.
Check on that.
Right. But the trade's coming out, which is why we're reviewing it.
For sure. So, art.
It's cool.
Super cool.
It really matches the tone. There's not a lot of amazing paneling going on.
But I feel like that's part of the charm. I mean,
I
it's
agree.
supposed to be this 50s noir kind of thing, and, you know, if you had all of this avant-garde paneling, it would just kind of come off as absurd.
I agree. It comes off very blocky, though. Like it has a lot of weight to it because it's heavily paneled. It's thick, clear panels. There's no panel in panel. No funky. You know how a lot of modern panels we get the skewed angles into it, and there's none of that happening in here. It's just the old school panel, which looks great for this style. And then the art itself is just cool. It looks as cool on the inside, I think, as it does on the covers, you know, which is a testament to it. Even though it's not as in-depth looking, it has the same vibe that you see on the cover when you look at it.
Yeah. And all the covers pretty much look the same. It's just the change of the people and their expressions and stuff. But I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
One point worth mentioning, this is probably not for anybody under the age of 18 as far as the law is concerned.
Right.
Especially a couple issues before this. So, I mean, if some kid's like 15 and he's watching this, it's probably just going to make him want it more. So, but if you're a parent watching in the background, you may want to take heed of that.
Yeah, it's not Airboy. There's not dicks hanging out or anything like that.
In this issue.
Okay.
Right.
But it's pretty lewd. I don't know if lewd's the right word. Just seedy, maybe. You know, there's sex and
it's appropriate
booze and,
for what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's good stuff, though.
Yeah.
I liked it quite a bit. I'm excited we're reading this now. All right, well, like we said, this has been a short week for us. We just didn't have much in the poll list this week. Sometimes that's the way it goes. So this is our last title for the week. This is Big Trouble in Little China, number 16. This is Fred Van Lint, Joe Eisma, and Gonzalo Duarte.
Mm-hmm. So Jack and Winona are escaping from the collector guy, and things happen.
We're still really just... This whole thing with the collector, to me, is just a chance to continue playing around with 80s cliches.
Yeah, nostalgia and whatever.
Right, but being able to do that in the modern setting probably is a way to sort of segue us into modern day with him. I liked this one a little better than the previous ones. I'm still not loving it anymore.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably the strongest one since we got the creative team change. I feel like this is the first one where they really successfully pulled off the 80s nostalgia plus pop culture reference thing that they're trying to do. It's still not 1 through 12.
Right.
And it's not ever going to be, and I just need to accept that is the thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has some good gags, and I do feel like Van Lint is starting to congeal on the idea of what he wants to do here a little more. It feels a little less shallow than before. The jokes have a little more depth to them, and they move together and flow between one another a little more smoothly.
Yeah, this probably made me laugh more than any other issue since the change, too.
Yeah. And there's some clever things that I liked. I really liked the beginning, the Take On Me music video situation, which is the bizarreness that I want out of this. That I feel like he was missing the wacky, weird, wild world of Jack Burton and more just going towards bad 80s jokes and one-liners. And I think this moves a little back in the direction that I prefer, where, this window panel thing that you end up in the Take On Me world, and that doesn't make any sense, right?
That's fantastic.
How does that exist, right? But that's great. And the fact that they break that and the guy's inside and he has to body slam his way out, like in the video.
Yeah. Another thing that made me laugh is at the end when all the little Ninja Turtle things die, and then they're like, well, "What happened?" And the farmer comes up and he's like, "Oh, those are Japanese, blah 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 blah," and just like knows everything about them.
Right, right.
So that kind of absurdity, like, yeah,
Well, and that whole scene was funny because the other lady that he was talking to, she says, they're talking about there's no water, and so they don't have any water in their head, so they all died because of the
drought.
Yeah, the drought in California. And she says, we're all going to die, aren't we?
Like, oh yeah, horribly.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So I feel like it's hitting on more cylinders than it was before with the comedy, which is obviously the important thing here, is having
Writing
more
wise,
comedy.
I would say this.
Right.
Art's still not doing it for me.
The art is still bad. It's not
It's not bad.
bad.
It's just not anything special.
right. He's just drawing the comic is really all that's happening here. And not even that well. It's okay. I'm sorry, Joe Eisman. I just don't like you very much. I don't like the way he does things. It doesn't
You should
speak
get
to
blocked
me.
by him on Twitter.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah,
Maybe I should just really be hateful about it. That's your shtick.
Yeah, but you feel more strongly about it than I do.
Yeah, it's true. I think this is still an okay book. I'm still enjoying it, I suppose, as we read it, but it's not great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell somebody else to go and start reading this,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to stop, I guess.
Yeah, whenever I tell somebody about the series, I'm always like, okay, you have to go read 1 through 12.
Right.
It's like, are they still making them? Yeah, but he's...
You
It's
like
like
just have to keep reading. It's like season 3 of Arrow.
Yeah, or Matrix 2 and 3.
Right.
Yeah, you just kind of pretend like they don't exist most of the time.
Well, you were invested, so you kept going with it when it was there. And I feel the same way here. So that's going to wrap it up for us. Go ahead and like, subscribe if you haven't, and check back with us on Monday where we're going to, again, talk about the trade for the Fade Out. It's issue 1 through 8.
I think there may even be 2 trades.
Is it 2 trades? Is it 1 and 4?
Yeah, probably,
5 through 8? All right. Well, either way, we're going to talk about 1 through 8. We're going to talk about the whole thing. So look forward to that. I'm excited to read it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, next Thursday morning, you can check back for our pull list review where we'll talk about that week's comics again. Awesome.